Our next up, we have Ariel, another Zcash engineer, and he's going to use a whiteboard.
Oh, thanks. So I'm going to maybe leave it there, and I'm going to talk about thoughts that were in my head 5 seconds ago, and I didn't have time to see if they make sense, so it will start with a tangent, and maybe in 5 minutes get to the topic of the title. So the tangent is I was very much in touch with the Ethereum people a year ago, 2 years ago, and of course privacy there was a big thing. And a big thing is, how are you going to get private payments in Ethereum? And I was, one thing that I found interesting was maybe that could be a use for Zcash. Maybe you could somehow use Zcash indirectly to get private payments in Ethereum. So like in Ethereum contracts. So if some private payment is made, then the contract will do something, and maybe if you do it through Zcash, you can get the Ethereum contract to do whatever it does without exposing any details on who made the payment. And something that seemed really related to this, so you need to connect the two blockchains. So this seems very connected to what's called atomic trades. So say you have Ether, I have Zcash. We want to trade it without a third party. So in the naive way, there's a who goes first problem. If I give you the Zcash first, you could run away with both. And atomic trade protocols are this really clever way to guarantee that either both currencies change hands or neither. So there's very cute protocols for that. I won't get into the actual protocols. And then I started thinking, so these nice protocols, they only worked for the transparent Zcash layer. And then I started thinking, could you make such an atomic trade protocol with the Z addresses, the shielded? And I came up with this really, really complicated protocol. And I tried to get, I spoke at this Ethereum Classic conference. I kept speaking about it. I tried to get someone to implement it. And, I kind of forgot about it. And then I got more into Sapling. We were working on Sapling. And Sapling has, you're doing a lot of stuff to create the transaction. And what's relevant for this, what I'm saying here, is in the end, you're doing what's called a Schnorr signature. And so in the last year, a lot of the Bitcoin core developers, or people working on Bitcoin, Peter Welle, Andrew Polstra, they came up with this name, that scriptless scripts. That is a very cool thing, though I really dislike the name. Every time I hear scriptless scripts, my brain freezes for 5 seconds. Wait, so it's a script, but without a... So on Twitter, I asked, maybe you want to change it to implicit scripts, because it's less confused, but I didn't get any response. The point of these scriptless scripts is actually with these... when your currency basically has a Schnorr signature, you can do a lot of cool stuff. And one of the cool things, because now Zcash Sapling will have a Schnorr signature, and Bitcoin may have one soon, and Ethereum is contract, so you can do a lot of stuff there. So they came up with this thing. I think it's mainly Andrew Polstra and Peter Welle. They came up with this thing called adapter signatures, which in a sentence is like a signature that's not completely correct, but you can kind of know what's missing. And then the idea is using these adapter signatures. My point of this talk, very briefly, is that you can do atomic trades between two chains that are private on the Zcash side. So this is kind of I'm also, kind of working on this stuff a little, but this is kind of a pitch to maybe tempt developers or others to get into this. And so Zcash is very complicated, and it's much more complicated now with Sapling. But my way to tempt you is to end with the point that, like, the Schnorr signature, it's kind of the way Sapling is made, and the way it's made this way is to enable things like hardware wallets. The Schnorr signature is pretty separated from the really complicated stuff. Again, what I want to do is encourage developers to get into this stuff a little. I think things like working on semi-private atomic trades, multi-signatures, it should be much more accessible now, the way Sapling is structured. So that's what I had to say. Thanks.